Okay, I'm going to get started by welcoming everyone. Welcome to Wat Tung. Nice to see everyone here this evening. Welcome to anyone who's joining us online as well. Tonight, what we do is we do meditation with you guys here in the main hall, helping you guys to be able to train your mind towards the enlightened mental state, where at all other times we're teaching over at our classroom over there. But on Sunday nights, we come here to the main hall to be able to help you guys to learn a bit about meditation, do meditation with you, and then open up to any questions that you guys might have after the meditation. What I'm going to be doing is guiding you in a breathing mindfulness meditation session. This is a meditation that the Buddha used as a primary form of training in order to help him get to enlightenment. But of course, there's other things that you need besides meditation in order to be able to get to enlightenment. You wouldn't be able to just meditate your way to this enlightened mental state. What enlightenment is where the mind's completely peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. By the time you get to enlightenment, you no longer experience any discontent feelings. You will have eliminated all your anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy. All these feelings are actually eliminated from the mind because you've eliminated the causes and conditions that are producing them. Oftentimes people think that it's other people who are causing you to be angry or sad or frustrated or some other discontent feeling. But what you learn through the teachings of the Buddha in a way that you can independently verify is that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings. And this is why you can eliminate them. If it was other people who was causing these feelings, you wouldn't actually be able to eliminate them. So meditation is important. It's an important part of your practice, but it's not the only thing you would need in order to be able to get to enlightenment. And we can talk about some of those things after our meditation. What I'm going to be doing to guide you into meditation is first, I'm going to be starting with some chanting to be able to ease the mind into meditation. And I see some of you guys have these chanting sheets. If you'd like to chant along, you're more than welcome to. We have them around here somewhere. They're probably over there by the cushions somewhere. Oh, they're in the middle. So we have some chanting sheets in the middle here if you guys would like to chant along. For those of you guys that are online, you can chant with us by going to our website, buddhadailywisdom.com. Click on free books. And if you scroll down towards the bottom, you'll see this chanting sheet. During the lifetime of the Buddha, he used chanting as a way to help his students remember the teachings. Every 2 weeks, his students would come together and they would recite his teachings orally because everything that he taught was oral. And they didn't have books, audiobooks, videos, podcasts. YouTube didn't exist during the lifetime of the Buddha 2,500 years ago. So now we have all these learning tools to be able to capture the teachings and then for us to study them and remember them. But during the lifetime of the Buddha, they didn't have that. So they used chanting as a way to commit the teachings to memory so that then they could actually practice the teachings. So you can see from the origins of chanting that this isn't a rite, a ritual, or ceremony, or worship, or anything like that. There's none of those kinds of things in the teachings of the Buddha. This isn't a prayer or anything like that. That during the lifetime of the Buddha, they just used chanting as a way to commit the teachings to memory. And they would recite his teachings every 2 weeks. Nowadays, we use it in order to ease the mind into meditation and get more benefit out of the meditation itself. So if you chant along, you'll see you're going to get more benefit out of the meditation. If you read the English translations, you're going to see a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for the Buddha. And because of this, I don't think the Buddha even created these chants himself, because a Buddha wouldn't walk around and say, here, chant these chants to me out of respect for me, right? This would be ego. This would be putting yourself above other people. And an individual who's gotten to enlightenment, they wouldn't actually do that. And a Buddha has actually gotten to enlightenment, so they actually wouldn't go around and try to convince their students to chant these things for them. But if you learn from a teacher how to move from anger, sadness, and frustration and all these other discontent feelings to the peace and joy that is enlightenment, and this teacher didn't want anything from you or expect anything from you, you'd probably have a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for that person too. So that's why I think that these chants actually came from his students either during his life or after his death. So if you'd like to chant along, you're more than welcome to, and you'll see that it helps you as we ease into the meditation. Once we're in the meditation, I'm going to be guiding you for a short period of time where I'm essentially going to be teaching you and instructing you how to meditate while we're actually meditating. So you'll hear me giving you that guidance. But then there's going to be a period of time where it's just quiet and we're all meditating together. I'm sure you're going to hear occasional sounds, especially here in the main hall. But it's important to remember that the world around you is constantly changing. It is impermanent. You're never going to be in an environment where it's permanently quiet. So if you're in meditation, craving permanent silence, when you hear a sound, you'll cause your mind to be annoyed or frustrated or agitated. But what you would like to do is get to the point where the impermanent nature of the world doesn't cause inner feelings, that you can rest at ease and be peaceful and joyful even when things are constantly changing around you, because the unenlightened mind craves permanence. So when you hear the speaker going off, if you hear a dog barking, or if you hear any number of things in the environment, just understand that's the way the world works, that these things are going to arise, they're going to change, and they're going to fade away. This is impermanence, and the world around you is full of impermanence. You live in an impermanent world, so you wouldn't be able to meditate in an environment where it's permanently quiet. It just doesn't happen. So there's that period of quietness that we're going to come out of with some chanting, and then that's where I'll just kind of share maybe a little bit of the teachings of the Buddha with you guys, and then open up to whatever questions you guys might have. In terms of your body position for meditation, there's 4 positions that the Buddha taught: seated, lying, standing, and walking. And you would use these different positions at different times because they're useful in certain situations. And you would learn them in your journey to enlightenment as part of courses and retreats. It's kind of like creating a tool belt, and then you would use these different tools at different times. But oftentimes people are learning in the seated position. So I'm going to share a couple little tips for you on the seated position that'll help you to get started with this position, because this is like the primary position that a lot of people use in order to get started with meditation. You could be sitting on the floor, you could sit in a chair. Some people at home might be in a bench or a sofa or a wheelchair. You can sit however you like. There's not just one way to actually sit. But if you're on the floor, you might find that having some cushions under your rear is nice, because this will soften your seat a bit. And if you're going to bring your legs together in the cross-leg position, you might just decide to do this lightly, whereas if they're real tight, it can impede the circulation. And some people like to even put their legs off the mat. This gets their hips up in the air, and it lessens the angle at the hips, the knees, and the ankles. But you can really sit however you like, because there's not just one way to do it. Even if it's something that I haven't taught you, you can just sit however you like, because you're not training the body, you're training the mind. That's what the Buddhist teachings are all about. In terms of your hands and arms, the Buddha put his right hand over his left with his thumbs together, and he put this into his lap. If this is comfortable for you, you could use it. But again, it's not about everyone doing it the same way. That's not actually possible. All of our bodies are different, and we're going to find different things to be comfortable. So some people like to put their palms on their thighs or on their knees. Some people put their palms up. Some people just rest their hands comfortably in their lap. And then for anybody who's in a chair or a bench or a sofa or a wheelchair, you can also sit however you like. Some people like to put their feet flat on the floor or lightly cross at the ankles. But when I teach over in the classroom, I have a chair there that I sit with my legs crossed. So you can really sit however you like and put your hands and arms wherever you like. It's helpful if the upper body is erect, with the sternum up and the shoulders back. This will help keep the mind attentive and alert during your meditation, because this is a dedicated, active, purposeful training session. You're eliminating certain unwholesome qualities from the mind, and you're cultivating certain wholesome qualities in the mind. So you would like the mind to be attentive and alert during the meditation. Whereas if you were slouched, the mind would have a tendency to be dull or lethargic. But if you were real rigid, the mind could be overactive or uptight. So you'd like the upper body to be in the middle with the sternum up and the shoulders back, which will keep the mind attentive and alert, and it'll also make it easy for you to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. So again, I'm going to chant on the way in here. You guys are welcome to join, and then I'll be back in with the guidance afterwards. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Bhutang Bhagavanang Apivateyami Savakato Bhagavata Tammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅkho Sanghang Namami Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารนังสัมมุโนสกขาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสาดามาสติสัตตตวามนุสนังพุทโธภะคะวะติ Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect, just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath. A nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธมหะเกวาพุทธังภาควันหังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตมหะเกวตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนมหะเกวโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมหะเกวาอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารนังสัมมุโนสคาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสาดามาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสนังโอโตภาควาติ Okay, if you guys would like to slowly make your way out of meditation. Once again, welcome to all of you guys. Nice to see everyone here this evening. Welcome to everyone joining online as well. You know, when we're growing up as children, we learn how to clean our body. And by the time we're about 12, 13, 14 years old, we tend to do that regularly because we see the benefits in it. But when we're young children and we don't understand about cleaning the body, and we're holding on to playtime and spending time with our friends and our toys and stuff, we're unmotivated to be able to take a shower and clean this body. But like I mentioned, over time, we start to realize like, wow, it feels really good to feel clean. I like that smell. I like kind of going out and feeling fresh in my day-to-day life. Well, we learn how to clean our body growing up, and most people do, but most of us don't understand how to clean the mind because we don't learn that growing up. If we grow up in certain places. We're here in Thailand. This is a place where you grow up learning how to clean your mind, because the Thai people understand that this being that you are, it's comprised of a physical body, yes, but there's a mind also. And if you're only attending to the physical body and you're not attending to the mind, this is why you're having difficulties and struggles in certain parts of your life, where you might be angry or frustrated or having stress or anxiety or difficulty sleeping or lack of concentration and focus and things like this. Because if you went around for multiple days, weeks, months, or even years without cleaning your body, you'd feel pretty uncomfortable in that situation. And if you haven't been cleaning your mind, then that helps you to be able to understand why you feel uncomfortable in certain situations, because you need to be able to learn how to clean the mind. That's what the teachings of the Buddha are for. They're not a bunch of beliefs. that you're believing a bunch of things and then hoping something good happens when you die. It's also not a bunch of rules or commandments of, kind of telling you what you should or shouldn't be doing in your life. Instead, what the Buddha is doing is he's helping you to understand how to clean your mind, how to purify your mind. And as you choose to do that through training of your mind, you're going to see that your mind's becoming more peaceful and more joyful, and your life's becoming more peaceful and more joyful. That's what it means to be getting closer and closer to this enlightened mental state, that you'll see situations where you were once angry and frustrated or agitated, and those same exact situations will be occurring, and you'll notice that your mind's no longer angry or frustrated in that situation because you've been training your mind. Because as I mentioned at the beginning, these feelings like anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy, all these feelings are actually being produced from within your own mind. Oftentimes people think that it's something external that's producing these feelings, but the teachings of the Buddha are able to help you to be able to see in a way that you can independently verify that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings. Because the way the teachings of the Buddha work is that you learn them, you examine them, and you investigate them. You learn them intellectually, but then you reflect on them to verify whether they're true or they're false. And then you practice his teachings, integrating them into your day-to-day life in order to be able to train your mind. So the Buddha taught this very first teaching called the Four Noble Truths, where in 4 simple statements, you can understand the problem in your mind, the cause of that problem, the elimination of it, and the path forward. The first noble truth helps you to be able to understand that every unenlightened being will experience discontentedness. So if you experience those feelings like anger, sadness, frustration, and others, you know that your mind is currently unenlightened. No big deal. There's a lot of unenlightened beings in the world, but there's a way for you to be able to transcend all that. Just like you opt out of a mailing list on an email list and you're like, nope, not interested in getting those emails anymore. You can do the same thing with your anger, sadness, frustration, and others. Unfortunately, it's not a button that you just press. It will take you multiple years to be able to train your mind to get to this enlightened mental state. It took the Buddha 6 years to be able to do that. But nonetheless, you can essentially opt out of these feelings. You don't need to continue to go around experiencing stress and anxiety and anger and frustration, because as you're experiencing those feelings, then what happens is the mind becomes unskillful through your intentions, your speech, and your actions, and you tend to damage your relationships because the mind firmly believes that those feelings are being caused by something external. That's what the second noble truth is going to help you to understand. That the first noble truth is helping you understand that all unenlightened beings experience these discontent feelings. The second noble truth helps you to understand that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings, that it's something called craving, desire, attachment, wants, and expectations. The way that the mind is longing and yearning for things, that the mind is essentially chasing after things. It has an unquenchable thirst, thinking that something external is going to provide some kind of lasting satisfaction. So the mind will chase it and chase it and chase it and chase it. And if the mind gets what it wants, it gets pleasant feelings like happiness, excitement, elation, thrill, exhilaration, euphoria. But if the mind doesn't get what it wants, it gets painful feelings like anger, sadness, frustration, and others. And then there's feelings called neither painful nor pleasant, like uncomfortableness or displeasure, unsatisfactoriness in the mind. So these discontent feelings are being caused by the mind craving and longing and yearning. Again, if it gets what it wants, it gets pleasant feelings. If the mind doesn't get what it wants, it gets painful feelings, because the mind's craving permanence and wanting things to be permanent, but yet you live in an impermanent world. So let me give you a little simple example, because what I just shared is the intellectual part of understanding the cause of your discontent feelings. But now you can't believe that. You need to take this into reflection to be able to independently verify it for yourself. Think about when we were children and we really liked chocolate and ice cream. And the first time we got chocolate and ice cream, boy, was it amazing. Wow, all those pleasant feelings when that flavor hit our tongue. Oh, we felt so great. When mom and dad gave us that chocolate and ice cream, we were so happy, right? And then the next day we might have said, Mommy, Daddy, can I have some chocolate and ice cream? And they're like, sure, here you go. Here's some chocolate and ice cream. Oh, thank you, Mommy and Daddy. You're so nice. You're the best Mommy and Daddy ever, right? And then the next day we said, Mommy and Daddy, can we have some more chocolate and ice cream? Sure, here you go. Here's your chocolate and ice cream. Ah, you're the best Mommy and Daddy ever. And we enjoyed our chocolate and ice cream. We were so happy. But then the third day came around and we said, Mommy and Daddy, can I have chocolate and ice cream? And they said, no, You can't have chocolate and ice cream. You're the worst mommy and daddy ever, right? That anger, that frustration or agitation, it was being caused by our own mind. It wasn't being caused by mom and dad. It was being caused by our own mind because we were craving permanence. We wanted this chocolate and ice cream to be permanent. And when we got it, we were happy because we were getting what we wanted and what we expected. But when we didn't get what we wanted, we were angry or frustrated, and we attributed it to mom or dad. The same thing is happening like in a relationship. If you've been together with a boyfriend or girlfriend, when you guys first get together, you might be really happy and excited about that because you have a new person in your life that's showing you affection. Maybe they're taking you out to movies or dinner. Maybe you're going to the park, having great conversations. Maybe they're calling and checking in on you and seeing how you're doing. Maybe you're even having sexual contact and you're getting all these pleasant feelings. But at some point, they're not doing what you want them to do. You have this list of expectations. At the beginning of the relationship, it went really wonderful because you didn't have any expectations of them. So you were just getting to know this person. But then over time, there were all these expectations that were accumulating where you wanted them to be a certain way and they wanted you to be a certain way. And you couldn't fulfill that permanently. And they couldn't fulfill what you wanted permanently. So you guys broke up. And now when you broke up, that's where the anger and the frustration might have came in even stronger. You might have been lonely or bored or missing this person. This is the mind holding on and craving permanence. It's not the love or the care, the concern that's doing this. That is just a genuine interest in seeing a being be well. That's what love is. It means to be having a genuine interest in seeing you be well. That doesn't actually cause painful feelings. What's causing the painful feelings is the mind is holding on and craving permanence. And as long as your mind holds on and craves permanence, when it gets what it wants, it's going to be happy. But when it doesn't get what it wants, it's going to experience those painful feelings like anger, sadness, frustration, and others. You can see this like if you've had someone close to you die, maybe grandma or grandpa or mom or dad or brothers or sisters. When they were alive, your mind was getting what you wanted. So you were happy, you were having pleasant feelings. But when they passed away, you experienced this impermanence, that the mind was holding on and craving permanence. The mind in the unenlightened state lacks the wisdom to understand that the world around you is constantly changing. That the reason why grandma and grandpa died is because they were born. Because they were born, they had to die. Every single one of us are going to die. But our mind holds on and we crave permanence. And again, when we get what we want, we're happy about that. We get pleasant feelings. But when we don't get what we want, we get the painful feelings. And now the mind will attribute that to something external. Or in the case of someone's death or a relationship, we usually attribute it to love. We think that it's love that's causing that. But love doesn't actually cause that. Here's another example. Like say you have a brand new car and you saved up money for this brand new car and you're so happy with this brand new car. You drove it to the store. You came out of the store after leaving it outside in the parking lot and you see a scratch on your car. You might get angry or frustrated. It's not the scratch that's causing that. And it's not the person who scratched your car. It's the mind craving permanence, wanting this car to look permanently beautiful. And when you see that scratch, that is impermanence. This car, the paint's going to fade. It's going to get scratched. The tires are going to need to be changed. The upholstery is going to get ripped and torn. But if the mind craves permanence, then when it sees this scratch, it'll get angry or frustrated, right? So it's not the person who scratched the car that's causing that, because one person could come out and see that scratch and get really angry and frustrated. Another person could come out and say, there's a scratch on the car. Well, thank goodness I have insurance. Or, hey, there's CCTV cameras. Maybe I can talk to the security guards and I can find out who did this and maybe their insurance will pay for it. Or, hey, did they leave a note? Maybe somebody left a note and I can look, right? You can maintain your calmness and composure if you're not craving permanence. And you just understand that this is normal. But of course, when we go through a parking lot, we aspire not to scratch anybody's car. So we're not talking about what's wise or unwise here, because when we walk through the parking lot, we aspire not to scratch anyone's car. But the fact is that this car is going to get scratched. It's only a matter of time. And if our mind craves permanence, when we see that scratch, we'll be angry or frustrated or some other discontent feelings. So the second noble truth is helping you to see that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings. And this is really empowering. Because if you understand that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings, then you know that you can actually eliminate them. Because if it was other people that was causing these feelings, you'd never be able to eliminate them. And one of the other things that this helps you with is it helps you to be able to understand the conduct that we tend to have in the unenlightened state is really unwise. That when the anger and the frustration is arising, the mind tends to be unskillful because it experiences those painful feelings and it doesn't like them. So what you'll tend to do is you'll tend to push people away, or you'll tend to push the situation away. This is called aversion, where you might have pushed away friends or family members out of your life, thinking that that was going to solve the problem. Because you might think that this person is causing your painful feelings, so you might try to push them out of your life. But you can see that that didn't actually solve the problem because you still get angry, you still get frustrated, you still get annoyed. If they were the true cause of your problem, when you push them out of your life, you wouldn't get angry or frustrated any longer. Or the other thing you might do when you falsely attribute the painful feelings to something external, not realizing that it's your own cravings, desires, attachments that's causing that, is you might be bitter and harsh and hostile to people through your intentions, your speech, and your actions. It's almost like an animal growling and roaring at another animal, trying to fear them into doing things your way. It's like, do things my way. The mind's trying to get its cravings fulfilled. And it thinks, hey, if you do things my way, I'll get those pleasant feelings. So now let me try to fear this person into doing things my way. Or the third thing the unenlightened mind will do with the lack of wisdom of this second noble truth, and it doesn't understand that the feelings are actually being caused by your own mind, is it might try to put expectations on people and try to control them or pressure them or force them to do things your way. And you might actually have people doing this to you too, where they're pushing you aside. They're being bitter, harsh, and hostile to you, or they're putting their expectations on you and trying to pressure you. Because that's what the mind does when it lacks wisdom of what the true cause of these feelings are. The third noble truth helps you understand that you can eliminate these discontent feelings by eliminating the craving, the desire, the wanting, the expecting, the longing, and chasing after things, where you're not basing your inner feelings on whether you get this thing or not. And when I say that, sometimes people say, well, if I eliminate the cravings, desires, attachments, won't I be over here where I'm lazy and I'm dull and I'm lethargic and unmotivated? Well, that's what the unenlightened mind can see very clearly, is it can see the chasing, and it can see that your mind will swing over here and be dull and lethargic and lazy and unmotivated. But that's not what the Buddha is teaching you. He's teaching you to come to the middle, where you can gradually pursue things as a goal, as an objective or interest. And now you don't form your feelings based on whether you accomplish that thing or not. Because some goals you're going to accomplish and some goals that you're not because of impermanence. But if your mind can only be happy when you accomplish this thing, that's not actually a goal. That's a craving, desire, attachment masquerading as a goal. A true goal, you can work towards it through wise decision making, and whether you accomplish it or not, you can maintain your peace and maintain your joy. So you can eliminate these discontent feelings by eliminating your craving, your desire, your longing, your yearning, your chasing after the objects of your affection. And you can see this to be true too by independently verifying it. Think back to that boyfriend or girlfriend that you were with. When you guys first broke up, you were probably angry or frustrated or lonely or bored or missing that person. And at some point, your mind let go. You were like, you know what? If he wants to be with someone else, so be it. And your mind let go. And that's where your peace and your joy came back. Or if she would like to move to another part of the country or another part of the world, so be it. And you let go. And that's where your peace and your joy came back. So when you eliminate your longing, your yearning, your craving for permanence and wanting things to be a certain way, you'll experience peace and joy. And the way that you do that is in the fourth noble truth. The fourth noble truth explains that the way to eliminate your discontent feelings is the eightfold path. That's the complete perfect plan that the Buddha shared. It's a core central teaching that's going to guide you on how to actually eliminate your longing, your yearning, you're chasing after the objects of your affection and forming your inner feelings of whether you accomplish this thing or not. So in all the different programs and courses and classes and retreats that I share, I teach this because it's a core central teaching. And then there's a whole lot of other teachings that you need to learn as well. And we teach it based on the original words of the Buddha. And we do this without any expectation of anything in return. All of our classes, courses, retreats, they're all available at no cost. You can attend while you're here in Chiang Mai. You can attend while you're traveling, because we live stream everything. You can attend it. We have books, audiobooks, videos, podcasts. It's all available for you at no cost. And there's even personal guidance to be able to help you. So what the Buddha did is he taught you this better way of life, I know that many people think of the teachings of the Buddha as a religion, but if you study them closely and you see what it is, it's really like a self-help program. Probably one of the most well-vetted self-help programs that exist because it's been around for 2,500 years. And it will help you to be able to get to this enlightened mental state. His teachings lead exactly where he said they do, to this peaceful and joyful mental state. And by the time you get to that mental state, not only will you be experiencing that permanently, where it's impossible for your mind to experience anger, sadness, frustration, it'll be completely stable and steady and unshakable, but you'll notice you have focus, concentration, clarity, and deep memory. Because when you eliminate these pollutions out of the mind, it'll be performing optimally. And you can have focus, concentration, clarity, and deep memory. And you'll notice your personal and professional relationships are really blossoming because you're not being bitter and harsh and hostile any longer. Because as long as you're being bitter, harsh, and hostile in your relationships, that's all coming back to you. You can look at your relationships where you have difficulties and struggles. When you're bitter and harsh and hostile, this all comes back to you. This is the natural law of karma, of cause and effect. You'll notice that you'll even get to the point where you're not even in a bad mood anymore, that you don't even experience a bad mood, that it's physically impossible for you to experience a bad mood when your mind's enlightened because you've uprooted the causes and conditions that are producing it. And that's what the training that the Buddha shares is how to train your mind, purify the mind, clean up the mind so that now you can experience the peace and joy. So as I mentioned, we learn how to clean the body. Right? We learned that. It takes us a while to figure out that this is important and it's beneficial and that we should do it. But then ultimately, we need to learn how to clean the mind, right? Because if we continue to only clean the body, then we walk around with a dirty mind and now we end up experiencing difficulties and struggles because our mind hasn't been cleaned up. So if you're only cleaning the body right now, this is the reason why you're experiencing anger and stress and sadness and frustration because you haven't cleaned the mind. You haven't learned how to do that, but now you're in a place that actually understands how to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop here and see if you guys have any questions. If you guys would like to ask questions, if you're here at the temple, we have microphones in the middle of the room. All you need to do is get a microphone, take it to your seat, press the gray button. You're going to see the lights come on. You can hold it up to your chin and we'll be able to hear you here at the temple, and they'll be able to hear you online as well. If you speak here without a microphone, they won't be able to hear you online. And then you can keep these microphones with you or share it with the people around you because you might have more than one question or someone around you might have a question. And then for when you're not using it, if you could turn it off, that'll make sure that we don't get feedback through the speakers. And then if there's anybody online who would like to ask questions, you can put that into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom in the comments section. I'll be able to see that. Or in Zoom, you can electronically raise your hand, unmute your microphone, and then ask any questions that way. So is there anybody here that you might have questions about meditation or the teachings of the Buddha, what you're seeing in the temples, anything in Thailand, maybe some personal challenges that you're having in your day-to-day life? If there's anything you guys would like to ask, you're more than welcome to. No questions? Leo, you have a question? Yeah. Oh, you have a question?
Yeah, I have one question. How to deal with like sleepiness in meditation, or like actually like two questions. First, like when I meditate, sometimes I like feel I am falling asleep, but I try not to, but it's harder. And the other one is like when you meditate, meditating is actually like easy. Difficult for me is like establishing into like daily practice meditation. So like how to deal with discipline and like sleepiness during meditation.
Sure. So let's first talk about why you're experiencing sleepiness, and then we'll talk about how to solve it. Okay. So when you first start meditating, or even if you've been meditating for a little while, it's almost like the mind is like a dry sponge. And it hasn't really been getting what it's needed all these years. And now when you start giving that dry sponge water, it's like, oh my goodness, thank you so much, right? So the mind, even if you've been sleeping for 6, 8, however many hours, now when you start training your mind, the mind is having to do work. And the mind is now working, and now it starts to get tired and sleepy because it's now doing something that it didn't have to do before, which is training. And now when you're training the mind starts to get sleepy, and there's kind of like a 6 month to 1 year hump, depending on how you're meditating, how frequently you're meditating, what other guidance you're getting besides just meditation. But there's usually like a 6 month to 1 year hump where you can be pretty sleepy either during meditation or even after meditation. You can be kind of sleepy. And this is coming from the mind finally getting the training that it needs. It's doing this work. It kind of gets exhausted doing this training because it hasn't had to do this before. Kind of like if you were going to train the body. If you haven't been to the gym for a really long time and you start going to the gym, the first several weeks or even months, you're going to be pretty tired after the gym. It's the same thing with the mind. You're training the mind just like taking the body to the gym. You're taking your mind to the gym, essentially. So this is why your mind's getting sleepy. When you're meditating, if you're noticing that you're getting sleepiness, you have two options. One is you can change positions. If you'd like to extend your meditation session, if you're in like a seated or lying position and you're noticing you're dozing off, you can switch to a standing position, or there's a walking position for you as well. This will kind of invigorate the mind a bit. So this is part of the reasons why you learn these different positions, because they're useful for you in these kinds of situations and others as well. So standing and walking is helpful if you're noticing sleepiness. But the other thing you can do, the second option, is that you can just get some sleep, because that's what the mind needs. That's what it's telling you that it needs. So just get some sleep, take a nap, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, hour, or whatever it is, get your rest. And then when you wake up, then meditate, because you like the mind to be attentive and alert during your meditation. And if you're constantly dozing off and you're kind of fighting the sleeping, then you're not doing what you need to be doing with the mind to be able to train it during your meditation session. So just get some sleep and then wake up and train your mind later. In terms of your discipline for meditation, it's once again, just like when we learned about taking a bath and taking a shower, we wanted to play. We wanted to spend time with our friends. We wanted to watch TV and do all these other things. And we weren't really motivated to go take a shower and clean our body. It wasn't until we started seeing the benefits that we were really motivated to do that. So you're going to need to have enough willingness to let go of whatever the mind's holding on to that's hindering you from meditating, whether it's social media, YouTube, TV, any number of different things that you might be doing. You're going to need to be willing to let that go and now go do this meditation. Even if it's 1 minute, even if it's 5 minutes, ideally you'd like to build up to a 30-minute meditation session. But even if you're getting 1 minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes, at least your mind had to let go and now go do this, right? And you're going to need to apply effort. The Buddha talks about this. This is part of the core central path, is that there's no special button that we can press. There's no special pill you can take that's going to give you that motivation and that enthusiasm. You need to arise it from within your own mind by applying the effort to do that. And the more that you see the benefits in meditation, you will be naturally more motivated to do it. But initially, just like with the shower and the bathing, you're going to need to apply the effort to do that, because mom and dad aren't around anymore to tell you, hey, go meditate, go meditate. Hey, go take a bath, go take a bath, go take a shower. You don't have that. So you need to develop it from within. Yeah. Leo, you have a question?
Yeah, it's maybe an unusual question, but I think I remember that you, in one of the other classes, might be a Pali Canon class, you talked about substances that cause heedlessness. And I think you gave an example that you wouldn't be, well, if someone is on the path and knows how unwise it is to use substances that cause heedlessness, they wouldn't even use it when someone pointed a gun on his head and says that if you don't use it, I would shoot you. But you still wouldn't use it. And my question would be, isn't it more important to get into this enlightened mental state in this life? So make this mistake, take the substance and then move on?
So this is a pretty extreme example, right, of saying like somebody's holding a gun to your head and saying, use this cocaine, right? I don't think you're ever going to be in that situation, right? It's very rare that something like that would occur. But what the teaching of the Buddha was saying in that particular situation is he was saying that once you're practicing the teachings closely, you would not stop practicing the teachings even for life's sake. That by the time you understand the teachings and you see the improvements that it's made to the condition of your mind in your life, there's no situation where you would not practice the teachings, right? So if you were hanging out with your buddies and they were like, hey guys, let's have a beer, or let's steal that money over there, you would know the cause and effect. You would know the natural law of karma so clearly that you wouldn't be interested in doing anything that would cause any kind of harm to others or to this being, because you know that you're going to experience harm. So that's what the Buddha was teaching in that situation. And by the time you experience enlightenment, you've seen this cause and effect so clearly. And even by the time you get to the first stage of enlightenment, you will have seen it quite clearly. And you'll get to a point where it doesn't matter what people say around you or what they try to motivate you or tempt you to do, that you wouldn't stop practicing the teachings, even for life's sake, even if your life was dependent on it. Because you know, by doing that particular thing, it's going to cause other people harm, and it's going to cause you harm as well. So whether you are truly in that type of situation or not, it's unlikely, right? But these other types of situations are likely. So when we teach the teachings, we sometimes talk in the extreme so that you can see that. But really, more likely what you're going to experience is somebody saying, hey, Leo, would you like to drink this beer? Come on, let's go get a beer. And you're like, no, I'm not going to do that. And they're like, come on, you party pooper. You're a wimp. Come on, let's go drink this beer. And that's where your mind might give into that, right? Or stealing something. So that's more likely what you're going to experience. And what the Buddha is teaching you is you wouldn't do that even if your life was dependent on it, that you would rather just go away from that situation and choose not to do that because it's going to cause harm and you're not interested in that harm by the time you see the teaching so clearly. Mm-hmm. Yep, you're welcome. Any other questions you guys have? Yeah, amen.
Thank you. Thinking about trying to be free of craving and attachment, is there a difference between discipline and wisdom?
Between discipline and wisdom? Discipline is like what we were talking about here, with meditation, is having the propensity to do something, using your wisdom to then make decisions to produce wholesome outcomes. Where wisdom is that you've gone through the intellectual learning of something, you've reflected on it to see that it's true, and then you've practiced it to really see that it's true. That's where you really know that something's true, when you're practicing it. So for example, when we grow up as kids, using Leo's example about substances, we were probably all taught that it's unwise to use drugs and alcohol. So intellectually, we understood that drugs and alcohol was unwise, but we might have still did it, right? Because we didn't have wisdom. We only had intellectual learning. So the way you get to wisdom is through intellectually learning something first, reflecting on it to see if it's true or false, and then you practice this thing, meaning you make decisions in that direction. So when we choose to not use drugs and alcohol for an extended period of time, we see how the clarity of our mind is improved. We see how our day-to-day relationships are improving. We see how we progress in our professional life much better without those drugs and alcohol. So this is now wisdom, because we learned it intellectually, we reflected on it, and now we're making decisions based in that wisdom. So wisdom is what you accumulate through this process. The discipline is having the propensity to actually make decisions based in that wisdom. And now you're regularly making decisions based in that wisdom. And that's where you're producing more and more wholesome results in your day-to-day life. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't see any questions online, and I don't see any here at the temple. So I'm just going to end by thanking all of you guys for joining. Thank you for your interest to learn and grow and develop on the path to enlightenment. If you'd like to learn more, you're more than welcome to. We actually have another meditation this evening at 9 o'clock over in our classroom, which you guys are welcome to join us over there. Not that over here is uncomfortable, but we have air conditioning and it's nice and quiet over there because we've got windows and stuff like that. So it's really nice to be learning over there. We even have projectors and stuff like that to help you with visual aids to learn and stuff like that. So at 9 p.m., what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to do a meditation with students, and then I'm going to teach a topic. It's called Dissolving the Ego. Ego serves no purpose. Ego is where your mind is like judging, measuring and comparing people, putting yourself above people or putting yourself below people. And now you look down on people and you talk to those people in one way. And then these people over here, you look up to them in such awe that your mind is shaken up or uncalm. And this is causing difficulties and struggles in your day-to-day life. As long as you have this ego in the mind, you're going to be looking up to some people, you're going to be looking down on some people, and you're going to have various complications. So I'm going to explain to you guys what the ego is. I'm going to explain to you the complications that you're experiencing because of it. And then I'm going to teach you how to eliminate it. That's what we're going to be doing today at 9 o'clock. So if you'd like to learn that, you're more than welcome to come to the classroom and you'll be able to learn that. Tomorrow, I'm going to be starting a course which is called Harmony in Relationships. It's from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., Monday through Friday. And you can come to any part of this that you like, where I'm going to be teaching you over the course of 5 days how to develop harmony in your relationships. Because this is one of the challenges that an unenlightened being will have, is they will have disharmony in their relationships, where they have some relationships that go really well for them, but they'll have other ones that are very difficult and problematic. And typically what the mind does is it blames those people for those difficulties in the relationship. Because over here, you're doing so well and the relationships are going well, so the problem has to be these people. It can't be you, right? That's what the ego is going to do for you. It's going to make you think that the problem is somebody else, when in reality, it's your own mind. So throughout the week, I'm going to be teaching this course to help people understand how to develop harmony in your relationships. And like I mentioned, all of these things are available at no cost. So if you would like to come learn, you're more than welcome to come learn anytime this week from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. I'm going to be teaching throughout the entire week. So whatever you guys choose to do, for the rest of your evening, have a very lovely and wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Sawadee khap. Sawadee khap.